13 was the only one they had left. The clerk said it with a nervous little smile, like it was a joke. I took the key anyway. I'd been on the road all day for work, exhausted, soaked from the storm that had been following me for miles. The hotel sat just outside the city, tall and gray, its windows glowing faintly against the rain. The hallway to my room felt too long. When I unlocked the door, I was greeted by stale air and the soft hum of electricity. The room was small but clean. One bed, one's desk, a television bolted to the wall. From the window, I could see the side of the building opposite mine, rows of dark windows staring back like empty eyes. The storm outside was loud enough to be comforting. I sat on the bed and opened my book. For a while, the only sounds were rain and turning pages. Then the TV turned on. The screen flashed to life with static and low white noise. I frowned, grabbed the remote, and turned it off. Probably a power surge from the storm, I told myself. I got up, poured a glass of water, and went back to reading. The TV turned on again. This time, I didn't laugh it off. I turned it off slowly, staring at my reflection in the black screen for a moment too long. That was when I looked out the window. In the room across from mine, someone was standing. A man. He was right up against the glass, so close his breath should have fogged it. His face was pale, his eyes locked onto mine. Slowly, he raised his hand and waved. I blinked. He was gone. Before I could even process what I'd seen, there was a heavy knock on my door. Not polite, not hesitant, hard enough to make the frame shake. My heart hammered as I approached it. I opened the door inch by inch. The hallway was empty, no footsteps, no retreating shadow, just the hum of the lights and the distant sound of rain. I closed the door, suddenly aware of how thin it felt between me and whatever was out there. A chill crawled down my spine, so I did the only thing that made sense. I started writing. I sat at the desk and began documenting everything. The room number, the time, the man in the window, the knock. My hands shook as I wrote, but the words steadied me. Behind me, the TV turned on. Not to static this time, to silence, a black screen. I didn't turn around. The air in the room felt heavier, thicker, like something was standing just out of sight, reading over my shoulder. The knocking started again, not at the door, from inside the walls. I kept writing. When they finally opened the door to room 13, the storm was still raging outside. The television was on, hissing with static. The window stood wide open, rain pouring in and soaking the carpet. The room was empty at first glance. No signs of a struggle, no broken furniture, no blood. Until they opened the wardrobe. Inside, they found me. I was sitting upright, knees pulled to my chest, clutching a stack of handwritten pages so tightly that my fingers had gone stiff around them. My eyes were wide, staring at nothing. My mouth was open, frozen in the middle of a silent scream. I had been dead for hours. The papers were soaked with sweat and rain, but still readable. Every page was filled with frantic handwriting, describing the man in the window, the knocking, the television turning on by itself. The last sentence stopped halfway through a word, as if I had seen something standing right in front of me. The police called it a heart attack. But when they reviewed the security footage from the hallway outside room 13, they went quiet. Because no one had ever knocked on that door. And in the glass of the opposite window, faintly reflected behind me as I wrote, a man could be seen waving. The hotel didn't look haunted. That was the strangest part. It was clean, modern, quiet. just another tall gray building sitting on the edge of the city. Two men checked in late one evening, soaked from the rain, laughing as they dragged their suitcases across the lobby floor. "Only one room left," the clerk said. "Room 13. The men exchanged grins. "That's the famous one, right?" one of them asked. "The guy who went crazy?" The clerk hesitated. "You know what happened in there?" They laughed. Yeah. Some viral horror story. Great marketing, by the way. Makes people want to stay." The clerk didn't smile. They took the key anyway. Room 13 looked normal. A bed, a desk, a TV on the wall, the same window looking out at another row of hotel rooms. They joked about it as they unpacked, making fun of the story, reenacting fake ghost voices. One of them noticed the wardrobe. "Didn't the story say they found him in there?" "Stop," the other laughed. "You're going to scare yourself." They turned on the TV. It was already on. Static filled the screen. They stared at it for a second before one of them shrugged and turned it off. Minutes later, it turned on again. That got their attention. They began filming on their phones, joking nervously now. "Look, guys, room 13 is haunted," one of them whispered dramatically. From the window, a movement caught their eye. In the room across the way, a man stood at the glass. He was smiling. He raised his hand and waved. One of the men blinked. The window was empty. A knock slammed against their door. Both of them jumped. They opened it together. No one was there. The hallway was silent. When they closed the door, the TV turned on again. Louder this time. The screen wasn't showing static anymore. It was showing the inside of their room. A live feed. They were standing in it. And behind them, reflected faintly in the glass of the wardrobe door, someone else was standing too. The knocking started again, from inside the wardrobe. The next morning, the cleaning staff unlocked room 13. Two men were found inside, one slumped beside the bed, one inside the wardrobe, both holding their phones, both with the same frozen look of terror on their faces. The footage was still recording, and in the last frame of both videos, standing in the window across the way, a man was waving. Room 13 was booked again that night. It always was.